Hi, I'm Sharon Gray. I'm a professional illustrator and a freelance artist, and I specialize in drawing realistic portraits of people. In the 10 classes to follow, I'm going to take you through everything that you need to know to draw realistic, lifelike portraits. We'll start with the basics of the supplies you need and how to use those supplies, going all the way through accurate shapes, making very impressive details, and looking for contrasts and light. Once you learn how to take what you see on a photograph and transcribe it to your drawing paper, I'll take you through different processes on blending, how to look for lights and contrasts, and how to add accurate details and make your portrait look relaxed and lifelike. So let's get started now with the supplies. This is a look at my art table right before I'm getting ready to draw. You're not going to need all of these things, so don't worry about it if you're missing one or two. Of course, the only things you have to draw your pencil portraits are pencil and paper. But there are a few more things that I like to have. Blending tools being first among those. This is a chamois cloth, this is a piece of felt. Either one of them will work just fine for blending large areas. For blending small areas, you're going to want some stomps and tortillons. That's just rolled up paper that you can use like a pencil to blend small areas. They come in a variety of sizes. I have everything from very, very small to very large because you want to use the right stomp for the right area. Always err on the largest size that you possibly can go with. For pencils, you can choose between graphite and charcoal. Graphite pencils are just normal, what you think of as your everyday pencils. Those pencils are called HB pencils. They're right in the middle of the hardness range. So your B pencils are very soft, the H pencils are very hard, the HB pencil is right in the middle. So just grab any old pencil from your office desk, that's your HB pencil. Then you're going to need one that's harder, like a 2H or a 3H, and one that's softer, like a 3B or a 4B. You really don't need anything more than that. You might want to invest in one of those fancy sets of graphite pencils that has everything from the 7H to the 10B, but honestly, 95% of the work you do with pencils is done with 3 of them. So just get one that's hard, a middle, and a soft. If you choose to draw in charcoal, there are many varieties. Those come in different softnesses too, so here's a 2B, there's a 4B, and this is a hard one. Some of them are peel down, so you peel the paper off like this, and then you expose more of your charcoal by just unraveling it. Others can be sharpened, like these. To sharpen a charcoal pencil, I use either a very cheap handheld one, cheap so that I can get rid of it as soon as the blade starts to go dull, and I use a piece of sandpaper. Sandpaper is great for sharpening a tip but preserving the wood, and this will add life to your pencils. Also, there are techniques where you might use some of the loose dust that you get off the sandpaper pad, so get a piece of sandpaper as well. The only other thing you need is a kneaded eraser. Some artists use many different kinds of erasers. I only work with a kneaded eraser. It's everything that I need. They're inexpensive, so grab a couple because they always fall on the floor and get full of hair. It just happens. So now let's get started. The first thing you need to know is how to hold your pencil. If you're an experienced artist, you already know all about this, but bear with me for just a minute in case you aren't. Everyone knows how to hold their pencil to draw lines, just like this. There's my name in cursive, and you can see I'm using that traditional hold. That gives me access to the point of the pencil, but for blending and shading and adding tone, I need to access the side of the pencil. See how I can put down nice even tone that way versus holding it like I'm making a line. It's all scribbly and full of line work. This is going to be hard to blend. This is going to be easy to blend. It is absolutely imperative that you learn how to hold your pencil overhand like this to make a nice, clean, even tone. So the first thing that I want you to do, if you're not familiar with how to hold your pencil, is to get a clean piece of paper and practice holding the pencil overhand and making some nice, even transition from dark to light, like this. To make it darker, press down more. To make lighter tone, lighten up. And I can go dark, and then I can go light, and dark, and light. Do it on the side, and then practice varying your pressure with the pencil on the point as well. Dark, light, dark, light, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. These simple exercises are foundational to everything that you need to know about adding smooth, even tone and making interesting lines in your drawing. So even though it seems simple, even though it seems like something you already know how to do, test yourself. You might be surprised. If this is tricky to do, then you need to practice. So just take a few minutes, pause the tape, and practice right now. If you're already a pro, the next thing that I want you to do is practice taking lines out with your kneaded eraser. A kneaded eraser is squishy like clay, so I can blend it and mold it and flatten it into different shapes. Here, I'll clean an edge by just kneading it into itself like this, and then I will flatten out a blade, and I'll use that blade to drag a line through that tone that I just put down. Then clean it again, and drag it on the flat side. Drag it on a tip, drag it on the flat side. Kneaded erasers are able to blot out little tiny areas because you can also roll them into a little point. Blot, 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 blot like that. Or sharpen them into a blade to take out a nice clean line. Or just use a bold side and erase large pieces of your drawing like this. You need to know how to manipulate the kneaded eraser so that you can do all of those things and they're second nature to you. So practice that as well. You'll notice too, it's easy to erase lines that aren't too dark. But if I were to try to erase this line, it's really indented into the paper and I can still see it. So when you're sketching, practicing drawing lightly and darkly is going to be really beneficial because you'll know how it feels to sketch a light line. That's what you need to start with. In your beginning sketches, you need to start light so that you can erase them cleanly and make any changes that you need in order to go on and make a finished drawing that looks polished and professional. Finally, I want you to practice using your stomp. Let me just put down a little bit of tone again. This time I'll use a charcoal pencil. I'm using it overhand so I can access the side. And here I have a nice even swath of tone. Now I'm going to get a clean spot on my chamois cloth, there aren't very many left on this one, and wrap it around my finger, and then I'm going to use little circle strokes that disguise the edge and blend this tone nice and smooth. You'll notice two things about this. First of all, it really lightens up the tone. The chamois cloth always does. But secondly, it really smooths everything out, especially if I've used the pencil on the side properly and I don't have those visible pencil lines. The chamois cloth makes a really nice, even, smooth tone. And that's exactly what I'm looking for when I want to make skin tone. You should also practice blending with your stomp. Hold the stomp in that same overhand position, use it on the side, and blend by just rubbing back and forth. Notice that in the places where I have less tone, the tone winds up blending lighter, which is obvious, but it's something to keep in mind. If you are blending a light shadow and you only need a little bit of tone on there, then you should use really light pencil strokes, or you might even be able to get away with putting the tone down using a messy stomp. A messy stomp is one that has already been used to blend, and so it's picked up some tone. Sometimes you can add the light shadows that you need to your face just by using a stomp that has already been used. So practice putting down line, practice using the pencil on the side to put down tone, and practice blending and pulling some lines out with your kneaded eraser. Now that you're an expert at doing those things, you're ready to push forward into doing some actual drawing exercises.